Yes, hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Hope you had a good day. Sorry we're so late tonight, but I hope you can stay for the next half an hour. Now, on the programme this evening, pylons through the Lincolnshire countryside. Now campaigners want the next government to say enough is enough.
I think the whole of the east of England is being treated really, really badly in this situation. We're getting pylons dumped on us. There's some parts of the country with a fund of £500 million to take out pylons because they're deemed unsightly.
Yeah, talking about this tonight, and like your views, should the plans for the pylons across the length of Lincolnshire go ahead? Campaigners say their voices should be prioritised by the next government, whoever it is. But is it too expensive to bury cables underground? Of course, pylons are cheaper than underground cables. Your views on this one, wherever you are, East Yorkshire or Lincolnshire. The email address, looknorth@bbc.co.uk. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Levy tweet. Text 81333, start the text with the word Look North on that story and any of our stories tonight. I look forward to hearing from you. Have some comments later in the programme. All of the day's news, of course, as usual, and shifting sands, the coastal visitors who say they need to take a spade to get to the beach. And raising a glass to the past, the daughter of one of the headscarf revolutionaries back in Hull to celebrate her mum. Don't miss that. So, busy programme, lots to get through. Keely Donovan is here. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Peter. For most of us, another very warm day to come tomorrow. But what about the rest of the week? I'll be back later in the programme.
Depending on your point of view, pylons are either a huge blot on the landscape or they're a vital part of providing power to people's homes and businesses. There are plans for a line of them stretching almost 90 miles north to south across Lincolnshire, and people who don't want them say the next government must act on their concerns. The National Grid say what they call the Great Grid Upgrade will bring green, affordable energy from the North Sea wind farms to the UK. Here's our environment correspondent, Paul Murphy.
More and more of the power we use is coming from giant offshore wind farms being built all around our coastline. But how we move that green energy around the country is proving controversial. The proposed pylon route from Grimsby to Walpole will run for 87 miles through the heart of rural Lincolnshire. And so pylons also means politics.
Are you saying now, because I need to get the economy growing, what I will do is say to someone who's objecting to electricity pylons going across the field near their house, sorry, they've got to be built, we've got to get the economy moving. If you're worried about a huge new housing development, sorry, that has got to be built. Are you prepared to make enemies to make the economy grow?
Yes.
From her workshop near to Boston, Nicola Hughes is hoping the scale model she's building from matchsticks will highlight the visual impact of pylons.
The little car is the correct scale.
She says politicians are underestimating the strength of feeling in the countryside.
It has been frightening. People have lost sleep. People are panicking about the threat. And suddenly Keir Starmer has come into the equation saying, oh no, it's all going to be happening by 2030. And that is what has incensed us.
Right, the large bars have already got commission, please.
There's been a street market in Alford since the Middle Ages, but with numerous pylons and substations proposed for this area, can the rhythms of rural life survive the dash for green energy?
We don't want them. We just don't want them.
Would this be something that would sway your opinion of who to vote for, the pylons issue? Is it that big a problem?
Well, it would, to some extent, yes, it would.
I mean, do people just complain for the sake of complaining?
That's me.
Your friend?
Yeah. I mean, we've got to have electricity, so we've got to get it here somehow, haven't they?
The Conservatives want the planning process changed in favour of burying the cables underground.
Reform UK wants to scrap pylons completely and review the UK's green energy plans.
Can I interrupt your morning coffee to ask you...
But does anyone in Alford feel their vote could actually bring about any change?
No matter what you say or we say, isn't going to make no difference.
It's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, we've watched it. You know, we've watched year after year after year when politicians come in and say, I'll do this, I'll do that. They don't finish what they're doing.
we support green energy. That's not an issue. Solar panels, yeah, on houses. Battery storage in your house. But not using farmland, not spoiling our environment.
National Grid told us Grimsby to Walpole will carry enough clean energy to power 6 million homes and businesses, delivering more affordable, more secure and cleaner electricity generated in the UK to people in Lincolnshire and beyond. Hitting green energy targets but remaining sympathetic to landscapes and rural communities. For many in Lincolnshire, this is an important act of balance that the next government needs to get right. Paul Murphy, BBC Look North, near Boston.
Interesting one. Be asking for your comments in just a moment. Rosie Pearson advises groups who are protesting about planning applications, and I spoke to her earlier. Rosie Pearson, National Grid say that overland pylons are the cheapest option for taxpayers. We need to go with that, don't we?
No, we don't. In fact, it's the opposite. We say that pylons should be the last resort, and that's because there's many things you can do before you start building pylons, and that includes looking at the existing infrastructure to make it faster and more efficient, looking at undergrounding using new style technology, which is cheaper and less damaging, and looking at an offshore grid. So particularly in this part of the world, you've got a lot of wind power offshore, and that should be connected by offshore grids rather than bringing it onshore in the first place.
But the National Grid say it's 6 times more expensive for underground cables. That's 1 billion as opposed to 6.5 billion. I mean, are you happy for people to pay more on their energy bills?
National Grid are quoting the old technology, which is called the AC undergrounding. It is more expensive, but the newer technology they're using in Germany and has recently been shown in a study for the east of England to be more efficient and less expensive is what we should be looking at. So National Grid needs to up its game and look at more modern technologies that are cheaper.
Do you feel that Lincolnshire then is being used as a dumping ground? Because in some parts of the country they are going underground and undersea, aren't they? Places like Dorset.
I absolutely do. I think the whole of the east of England is being treated really, really badly in this situation. We're getting pylons dumped on us. There's some parts of the country with a fund of £500 million to take out pylons because they're deemed unsightly. You've got many parts of the sort of north of the country getting subsea cables. But what you see in Lincolnshire and East Anglia is this kind of obsession with pylons and this refusal to look at the most modern technology. And we just want to see the most modern technology being used.
But the National Grid say that this update will mean clean energy and faster clean energy because it's a lot quicker with overhead cables than burying cables. And we do have targets to meet. We need to get on with it.
Well, there's actually a report by National Grid on a consultation that's live right now for something called Eastern Green Link, which says that pylons would be slower than the underground or subsea cables they've chosen to do in that situation. So what you hear from National Grid is different things for different situations, depending what they choose to do. So we feel that we should be allowed to have the right alternative, the best alternative, and not be forced to have pylons because National Grid.
But they are the experts. They're talking about the cost, and it is cheaper. So what would you say to the National Grid then? If there's somebody from National Grid watching now and somebody will relay this, what would you say to them?
I'd say they need to look at their very own design report for the Eastern Green Link, a National Grid report, which says that pylons will take longer to build than this HVDC underground and subsea solutions. So they need to go and look at their own reports, and they need to look at why they are in some cases choosing to go offshore, like with Sea Link in East Anglia, but yet they're telling people who are being forced to have pylons that pylons are the only way. So they need to get their messages straight, and they need to start actually looking at the evidence, which is the most up-to-date evidence.
Why do you think they're doing it on this particular leg, this, through Lincolnshire? Is it because Lincolnshire has got this reputation now as being a bit of a dumping ground for infrastructure?
Well, it does feel like that. It feels like they've chosen nice, flat, open countryside. There's a sense sometimes that maybe no one lives there because it's big and wide and empty. But actually, it's the worst place to put pylons because you've got our beautiful, wide open skies in this region. It's so flat that you can't hide a 50-metre pylon. So no, there's definitely a sense to the people of East of England that we are the dumping ground. There's no strategy. You need to see an offshore strategy that coordinates rather than does this piecemeal approach. So a lot more needs to be done.
We'll see what people think. Throw it open. Rosie, good to have you on the programme tonight. Thank you very much indeed. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I got this one in early from Ryan, who says, I understand the NIMBYism surrounding these pylons, but buried cables are subject to way more costly maintenance and installation, which might end up making the picturesque landscapes above a lot less appealing if it has to be dug up to lay them. Once the pylons are up, you forget they exist after a while, says Ryan. And just briefly, David said, can someone explain what the threat of pylons exactly is? Here in East Yorkshire, we've had them marching right across the Vale of York. No one pays them any attention whatsoever. Well, let me know what you think about this one. Should the plans for the pylons across the length of Lincolnshire go ahead? Campaigners say their voices should be prioritised by the next government. Do we need to go for the cheaper option of pylons rather than the more expensive underground? Will the people of Lincolnshire even notice once they've been there a while, as David was saying there? The email address, looknorth@bbc.co.uk. Follow me on Twitter, tweet me now, or text 81333, 81333. Start the text with the word Look North. We'll have some before we finish, if you're still up, at 8:15, and some more tomorrow night, as always. So you've got all evening to write if you're busy.